plays a big part in the season, starting with even the premiere. We'll learn some of the history behind his inventions and what he was doing in England during when he allegedly was a spy, and a few other things that we've got in store that deal in the underworld and in the dark forces. So that'll be kind of fun to reveal. There's a lot of fun comedic moments. We have, these two. Crane is going to learn to drive this year, which I think is going to be a big deal. It's about time. It's been 200 years. So.
How has it been for you, Tom?
It's been 32.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, thanks very much.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So will you burn your costume this season?
I can't burn that costume. I need that costume.
The costume stage.
They're if you'll recall, at the end of in the finale or the penultimate episode, Crane meets a girl in a reenactment battle who makes period costumes and gave him some new clothes, and so now there is an outlet store that he can go to.
We'll make use, he makes friends.
Make full use of it.
In Sleepy Hollow.
The code stays.
Yeah.
Code stays.
Yeah.
We're playing. I mean, the apocalypse is real this year. I think things are going to amp up a lot, and then we have a really big twist that we're headed towards in the middle of the season. It's really cool. We're getting to do 18 episodes this season, so that's allowing us the freedom to build towards a much bigger mid-season reveal and twist. So that'll come out.
Are we going to get to see more of Ichabod's background, like before you died, with your father, Victor Garber? Are we going to see more of that, possibly?
There was a lot of Ichabod's past explored in the first season.
Yeah.
And for a lot of it in the second season, we're going to keep exploring that and keep exploring with Katrina and Ichabod's ex. And there's a lot more of Abby's background as well. And in fact, all of the characters. Now we've met them all. Now we can start exploring them all a bit deeper.
Well, yeah, Nikki, are you going to... I love the male sisters, by the way.
Pardon?
I love the male sisters.
Oh, yeah,
they're
awesome.
They're awesome, and they kick ass, and, they're just very strong women, and there needs to be more of that on television, so I love that.
We have quite a few strong women on the show. We have a new sheriff, Lena Reyes. Yeah, she's played by a very strong woman, Sakina Jaffrey, Katya. Actually, all the women are pretty opinionated, strong-willed, and forceful. More so than like any other show that I know of. Yeah, but thank you for saying that. It's been a pleasure working with Lindy and this character. It's allowed us to ground some of the fantasy that we're experiencing here, all the monsters and everything, and then you have like this through line of just like compassion and guilt and all these things, and just like it's a huge playground for having. And I think that's what people are responding to.
Yeah, are we going to get to see more about the ancestors? Because we knew Grace, your ancestor Grace, delivered Jeremy. So are we going to get to see more about that? And, your history and the background for the male sister?
Yeah, I think so. I think that earlier on we find out some things about Abby's mother. And hopefully a little bit more of it is spilled out.
Yeah, I think throughout the season we're going to get to understand a lot more about what. Right now, all we really know is that she was in Terrytown Psychiatric. We're going to learn that she committed suicide. All right. Well, we're going to learn a lot. It's so much more fun to watch than to hear me talk about it.
Yes, it is.
So that's why I'm not worried.
You guys are like filming and this fantasy all day. How do you bring yourself back down to reality at the end of the day? Or you're like, are you going to enter back into the real world?
I think it helps that I have to take a wig off.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you feel that wig in the 90th degree heat, 93% humidity. And so being able to take everything off, then I just kind
But not the jacket,
can't
you
chill
keep
out.
that on.
I keep the coat. I sleep in the coat. That kind of helps me.
Well, I think you should just grow your hair back out.
I
That'll
can't
work.
do that. The middle phase, love. The middle phase is awful.
Would you say the tone is a lot darker than this season, or how does it change?
No, I mean, that was something I feel like we found fairly early in the show and people really responded to, is we have this incredible mix of tone that you contribute to. It's really tricky for directors, especially for them, and in the writing, to go from just this roller coaster ride of starting with something, comedic and having really fun man out of time moments and just moments, sort of social commentary, and then slip into something that's a big scare, and then going in these guys, we give them anything dramatic, it's going to be incredibly heartfelt and real and not and earnest in a good way, and it's so hard to do on television. And so it's one of the biggest challenges of the show, but I think it's something we look for in every episode. We're not striving to, it's not always dark and gritty. We take on very heavy subjects sometimes, but I feel like there's a levity and a buoyancy in the way that they approach it, and just the whole machinery of the show totally goes for it. That is not dark in nature.
And we also, on the flip side, try to make sure it's not broad, because that's, from the beginning of doing the pilot, and I was a fan of Crocodile Dundee when the movie came out, but we kept saying, if we were Crocodile Dundee, we have failed. Like, that was not the opposite.
That was my inspiration.
I'm sorry.
Aim for Mick Dundee.
And again, that movie is obviously great and hilarious, but it was just a different tone, and it should just be this wacky guy at a time. And sometimes on paper, a story doesn't feel that way, but then to the writer's credit, we try to make it feel as real as possible.
Yeah, that's definitely something in the toning of every episode, is looking at all the moments, and the comedy can't be too broad, the scares can't be too broad. Everything in the magic world has to be earned and difficult to do, because that's really the world that we've set up.
And I think it speaks a lot to Mark, too, because when, obviously Bob and Alex created the show, and then we needed someone to take on that mantle with them, for them. And, a lot of people were pitched who were those very sci-fi genre guys, and what we loved about, and I had worked with Mark before, but what we loved about him is, he's like a Sorkin protege, and all that Abby Crane banter is where you're getting it, is because there's a person who's writing it more from the inside out than the high concept, and I think that keeps it real.
Will Ichabod see a little bit of the duplicitous nature of Katrina this season? Because she's like to Ichabod a lot. I mean, there's been reasons, sort of, kind of. Do you think that she's on the dark side of the force?
I think through the first season, Ichabod was aware of it, because there were so many revelations. And of course, it would be a cop-out if we weren't to explore that. Mm-hmm. So, in season 2, we explore how the relationship that has... Because you were quite right in saying that she has reasons for it. And so exploring that, when there's quite important business to go on and we need an ally for the business that we got to do, but it's my wife.
Right.
And so the balancing between the deception, the deceit, and the love is really interesting to explore so far.
Is she on the dark side of the force, or do you think that she's straddling it? I mean, I said that wrong. I said that wrong.
Seems like a personal question.
Lord, help me.